Hi everybody and welcome back to Crafted by Corie. If you're new, I'm Corie, excited you're here. Let's go ahead and get into the crafting.
Here we go with DIY number 1. So for this project, I have some items from the Dollar Tree, this home wood cutout, the fabric from the Crafter Square, and the little felt hearts. And with the fabric, I'm just cutting out a piece that will cover my home sign. And I thought I wanted to try to wrap this around the sign, and so I was kind of trimming off some of the extra and trying to cut slits to help me wrap it around. And I slowly realized that that just was not going to be feasible. So I was trying to come up with a different option and decided to come in with my Mod Podge. And so I gave the whole thing a nice coat of Mod Podge just on that front surface. And then I flipped my sign over onto the fabric, tried to make sure that it was lined up. Fortunately, I could see all of the checks through the back, smoothed that all out, and then started cutting away the excess fabric. Now, you could totally do this with scrapbook paper or something like that, and it would probably be a lot easier. But I have this utility knife that I had gotten. I think it's actually for scrapbooking. I was having a hardest time trying to figure out how to put the blade in it, but essentially you unscrew that little bit. The little ball at the top actually does separate. It opens and you slide your little blade into that, and then when you screw it all back together again, it tightens up the little ball, and so your blade is secure. Just took me a little bit. So I'm using my little utility knife to cut away the fabric all around the edges of my home sign. And like I said, it would definitely be easier to do this with scrapbook paper, but I was amazed at actually how well this knife did cut through the fabric. And so just had to try and get around all those little edges, and I did cut it out from the E and the heart you saw. And then on the other side, once I was done, I kind of went back and tried to clean up my edges a little bit, make sure that everything was trimmed away. So now I decided I wanted it to not be quite so perfect on the edges. So I grabbed my sanding block from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just coming in and I am sanding the edges of the entire sign, and that's just kind of fraying the fabric all the way around. And then for those little areas where I couldn't get in there with the sanding block, you can see I'm just using regular sandpaper. Got my Dirt Devil. Do those things even get sold anymore? I swear. I inherited that from my mom, and she had it when I was growing up, so that little thing is old. But anyway, I'm now coming in with one of my felt hearts from the Dollar Tree. I think it comes in a pack of 6, I want to say 6 or 8, I can't remember, but nice little pack. And then I'm going to come in after I hot glued it down and use my little utility knife again to cut out the inside of that heart. You could totally leave it, I just wanted to cut it out. And I found that it might have been easier once I got it started to perhaps work on it from the front side and trim it around the wood. I made it work, and I just went back and kind of got in as close as I could to the wood to fix all of my little lines and everything. But I think if I had to do it over again, I might start it on the back side so I would know where to start, and then I might just try to carve it out from the front. And then I just came in with my little scissors to trim it up a little teeny bit more, and there you go.
Hi again, I hope that you're enjoying the crafts so far. I'm really excited that you are here. If you are returning, thank you so much for all of your support. You know how much you all mean to me, and I appreciate you. If you are new, I'm Corie, and on my channel, I love doing all kinds of different DIYs and crafts, usually on a budget, a lot of Dollar Tree, thrift flips, trash to treasure. You'll see a little bit of everything here. And generally, I slant towards Farmhouse with a little bit of traditional thrown in. I've recently been really inspired by New England, kind of coastal, but still with the slant towards farmhouse. So at any rate, if you haven't already subscribed, I hope that you'll consider hitting that subscribe button and make sure you hit that bell so you get notified every time I upload a new video. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get back into the crafting.
DIY number 2. For this project, I'm using a sign from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to take off the little hanger and set that aside for a future project. And then I'm going to bring in my Waverly chalk paint and elephant and just giving this one good coat of paint, making sure that I get all of my edges and so everything is nice and covered. Once it was dry, I came in with my pencil and my ARTEZA Architect's ruler, and I'm just drawing the lines that would depict the shiplap. And that's really just to give me a line to go by for my ARTEZA chalk paint markers. So I am just kind of drawing that in, and then I'm going to come in with a baby wipe and kind of smear it along there just to make it a little bit more muted so that I have that line, but it's not like in your face. So I wanted it to be subtle. Now I'm coming in with my Adirondack white chalk paint. This is by Home Decor, and this is available in my Amazon store, and I'll tell you a little bit about that in a bit. You're going to want to stick around and hear what I have to say about that. But I am coming in and I am drawing my letters, and this is hand lettering. This is not my handwriting, you guys. I do not have great handwriting, but I am taking my time. Keep in mind this is sped up about 3 times, and so I am just taking my time. I am drawing each of the letters just like I would draw a picture, so really going slowly and trying to get it the way that I want it. And you know, it's funny, I was so focused on the placement of everything and trying to make it nice and neat and keeping in mind that I want to put some circles around here that I completely misspelled the word always. Here I go. 2 L's. Really, Corie? What was I thinking? And what's worse is that I didn't even realize it until it was too late for me to fix it, because I was needing to start editing this video. And I wasn't actually even the person that noticed it. I had shared the picture with one of my sweet YouTube friends, and she was like, I don't know if you did it on purpose, but, and I was like, oh no, how did I misspell always? So yeah, as I've said before, if you think I've got it all together, yeah, no. So I had to just kind of go with it. I was joking about maybe putting a hyphen in there, and you know, you will forever be my always, you know, but so do as I say, not as I do. Don't put 2 L's in the word always. But so hopefully you all will forgive my misspelling. I knew it looked funny, but it just didn't register. So at any rate, now I am coming back and I am creating faux calligraphy. So if you've watched my videos before, you know that I'm just going to be making every downstroke thicker. So I do go back over all of the letters just to make them darker so that they stand out on the sign. But as far as making them thicker, that's only on the downstrokes. So you can see how it's turning out here. That extra L is killing me still, you guys. I hate it when I do stuff like that. But anyway, perfect I am not, by far. So once I had my words all done, I'm coming in with some little wreaths, if you will. So really just freehanding some circles, and I'm going to come in and draw little leaves on here, and you can draw as many or as few as you'd like. You don't have to do leaves, you could do flowers, you don't even have to do these circles around it if you don't want to. Make it yours, be as creative as you would like. But I thought that this was super cute, and I was really happy with it, aside from that extra L. So then I flipped over my sign and I just came in with some craft paper, and I'm going to use my hot glue and secure all of the craft paper to the back of my sign just to make it a nice finished product, if you will. And I've got my ARTEZA self-healing mat under there, so I'm going to flip it over, and just using my craft knife, I'm going to trim off that paper right along the edge of the entire sign. So it'll be nice and neat, and we've got a clean edge, and we don't have to worry about that glitter on the back. So now I'm using my little pokey tool, and I am poking through those little holes that were already in the sign. I had not sealed those up because I knew I wanted to use them. And I'm using some of my lace ribbon from burlapfabric.com. And I do have a code for you in my description box for $5 off a purchase of $5 or more. So if you're interested in that, you can check that out. But I am feeding the ribbon through both sides from back to front. And then my thought was I was just gonna tie a cute little bow on the front here, and that was going to be my hanger, you know, nice little bow on the front, really cute, right? I just couldn't stand the way that the bow was not working, I should say. So I messed with this for a while. I went ahead and actually even trimmed off the little tails, thinking that I was going to be able to get it to position itself the way that I was envisioning, and it just wasn't having it. So finally I just was like, you know what, yeah, I even tried to turn it upside down, see if I could manipulate it that way, and yeah, no. So plan B, I decided I was going to pull the ribbon through enough so that I had my little hanger, and then just long enough to tie it off in the front. And in hindsight, I didn't need to tie it. I could have just hot glued it down, but at the time I was thinking I needed to, or I wanted to tie my little bow to the ribbon there in the center, and I wasn't going to be able to do that if it was secured to the board. Hopefully you're understanding what I'm saying. Totally unnecessary. I could have just hot glued it and then just hot glued my bow right on top of it. It would have been fine. So I went ahead and did what I call a crisscross bow. So basically just crisscrossed the ribbon over itself, and I'm taking another piece of ribbon, tying it off, flipping that under itself so that the knot is underneath and hidden, so you have a nice little pretty finished top part. And it keeps flipping around on me there, but I managed eventually. And then I cut off my other little tails. So for this ribbon, I actually have 4 tails. So I like this type of ribbon also because I think it's just super cute. So you've got your 4 little tails and your little loops, and there you go. And I did go ahead and secure it with some hot glue. So I have some exciting news. My website is finally up and running, and I am so happy. So many thanks to Studio Mommy, who helped me get this all together. I even have a place where you can subscribe so you can get all of the latest updates, including, so I've got a blog, but then I have a calendar out here. So I know a lot of people ask me when my Cocktails with Corie is, when my Coffee with Corie is. You'll be able to find it all out there on my website. It's www.craftedbycorie.com, and I will be having my free printables out here as well when I get my act together. Also excited to tell you that my Amazon store is now available. So if you have any interest, you can go ahead and click through the link in my description box and shop to your heart's content. I've got a lot of my favorite products out there, and in celebration of all of this, I am giving away 4 Amazon gift cards in the amount of $25 each. And to enter, all you need to do is answer this question: what do you like to shop for on Amazon? Leave me a comment and answer that question. You'll be entered to win. Good luck. DIY number 3. So for this project, I've got my Gorilla Glue. I have these little half pearls from the Dollar Tree. They're self-adhesive. I've got this little bowl. I think it came in a set of like 4 or 6, I can't remember. And then I've got one of these garden bowls as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is just make sure that everything is nice and clean, because I am going to be painting this and using glue and whatever else. I want to make sure that it's got a nice clean surface. So I flipped over the little bowl and I'm putting a generous amount of the Gorilla Glue on the bottom of that bowl, and then coming in with some hot glue as well. And I'm going to flip that over to the bottom of the garden bowl and secure those together. So once that is all set, and it was actually pretty easy because they both had like a little dot in the exact center. So that was really simple to find center. I didn't have to measure or anything. But now I'm going to come in with the self-adhesive. I'm calling them half pearls. I don't know if there's a technical term for them. I don't remember what the package said. But they are really, really pretty, and they're nicely spaced. And so I am just lining the upper edge of my garden bowl with these little half pearls. And then once I have those all situated, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing along the bottom edge of the smaller bowl. So it's just going to add some really pretty detail. And these obviously are pink. I am not going to be leaving them pink. I'm going to be coming in just a moment with my Adirondack white chalk paint, and we're going to paint this whole thing white. So here I am with the chalk paint. And I did give the entire thing 2 good coats of chalk paint. And you just want to make sure you really get in between all those little half pearls. So, and you know me, I always have to do the underside. So I did the underside as well. So top, bottom, middle, sides, all of it. It all got a coat of paint. Actually, it all got 2 coats of paint. So really simple but pretty project, and even easier if you use spray paint. If I had good weather, that's what I would have done. So another option for you. It's time for our shout out timeout. We have a couple of projects. These came in from Kim. These are so cute. These are Dollar Tree items. Those little books are actually matchbooks. Aren't those cute? And love this, Laura. This is such a pretty sign that she created for Valentine's Day. Thank you both so much for sharing. And I would love to give you a shout out. If you have interest, please email me at craftedbycorie@gmail.com. DIY number 4. So this is my inspiration photo. This is from Birch Lane. Obviously it's out of stock, but I'm going to be using Dollar Tree supplies. So I have that little metallic blue marker that I showed you. I also have these extra large ornaments that I had picked up during Christmas time. And I'm also going to be using Dollar Tree's watercolor paint, but I didn't think to show that to you at the beginning here. So apologies for that. But I'm just cutting off the little nub, and then I am using my sander just to sand it down so I have a nice smooth surface. And then I did try to go in and sand down the little seam that these all have, because I wanted that ridge to be as hidden as possible when I come back in and paint these. So, and I also did buff up that glossy one because I figured my chalk paint was going to stick better. This is another instance where if you spray paint it, you might have better luck. Although I have to say that the watercolors worked really well with the chalk paint in a little bit. So I did fill in those little holes also with some hot glue, and then just came back in and sanded that down to make it all nice and smooth again. So now I'm going to give everything, I wiped everything down, made sure that I didn't have any of that residue left from all the sanding, so all that little sanding dust. And I came in and I gave everything actually 2 good coats of my Adirondack white chalk paint. So now I've got my Dollar Tree watercolors, and my water is like off camera, so sorry about that. You'll see it in a little bit. But I am just going to come in, and this is just the paintbrush that came with the watercolor set too. So I'm coming in and just making like a little fat squiggly line around the top of my sphere. And that's what I was going to do to get started. And I honestly wasn't sure how things were going to go with the watercolor. I don't do stuff with watercolors. I haven't used watercolor since, well, I guess I did do it a little bit when I was doing lampshades a number of years ago. That was like back in high school and college. So I haven't worked with watercolor since then. And so I don't have a lot of experience with it. But, and that was just for some very basic stuff. So long story short, I wasn't sure how this was going to work out, but I just kind of figured I would go with it. And, you know, worst case scenario, I'd paint over it and do something else. So I started with these lines, and then I figured, you know what, I'm going to come in with just water on my brush. Now, obviously, it's still got the blue in that's loaded into my brush, and I'm going over the blue that's already on my sphere. But I'm just coming in with water and helping it to kind of bleed, if you will. I was amazed at how little the paint moved when it was on here. I was really concerned that because I was working with, water and this very thin paint, that it might start rolling all over the ornament ball, right? And it did not. I was really surprised. And that was why I said before that if you spray painted these with a glossier spray paint, I don't know if it would work the same way. So maybe you're better off using the chalk paint for this and then giving it a gloss coat afterwards when you're all done. I left my matte. I didn't come in with a sealer, but it wouldn't be a bad idea, especially if you're going to have them out on a table where they might get splashed with something, when people are eating or drinking, because these are watercolors, obviously, so water soluble. If it gets wet later on, it could be damaged. So I just kept coming back in with more and more water, and I found that the longer that the paint had to dry, so the drier that the paint was when I came back in with the water, the more interesting the design ended up being because it had more lines. So here I'm just coming in with my blue water, basically. I thought, you know what, I wanted to see what would happen if I put down water first and then came in with some of the paint. It really didn't make any difference from what I could tell, so you probably could just do it either way, but I don't know, I was experimenting, right? So just doing this last bit of my sphere, coming in with some of the blue, and then I'll keep coming back in with more water to kind of help it smudge, for lack of a better term. Smudge, bleed. But I thought this was so cool the way this is turning out. You can see some of the parts that are a little bit drier there and the effect that it's giving. I just thought it was really cool. So now I'm ready for the second sphere, and I'm coming in with just dabs of the dark blue. And then my intention is that I'm going to come back and using water make little rectangles out of them, and I'm doing this all over the sphere. So you can see I'm starting to try to spread them out a little bit here. I wasn't sure if I wanted to try and cover the whole sphere with the little dots first and then come back in and smudge them, so I kind of did it half and half. So you can see here I'm coming back in and smudging them, and this is all I did all over the sphere. And it's really not difficult, especially since the paint really does stay put. And then as I finished up the one side, you see how cool that is? I really like this. I think I might actually make more of these because I was really happy with them. And you can make them all different patterns, any color. You don't need to use blue. I've been really inspired by, as I mentioned before, New England and coastal recently, and so that was why I decided to come in with the blue. And someone had actually asked if I might do some French country, and so that was inspiring this a little bit as well. So for this third sphere, I'm now using that metallic blue marker, you can see, and this worked so nicely on the chalk paint as well. Highly recommend this. It's from the Dollar Tree. I also found one in pink, so if you see those, definitely pick them up. But I'm just coming through and drawing little flowers They do not need to be perfect. They're all different sizes. Some have 5 petals, some have 7, some have 6. It was just really whatever worked for that particular flower, and just connecting them. And by the way, don't use your hot heat gun on these. I don't know if you saw that like bulge on one side of my sphere. I like end up trying to camouflage it, but yeah, don't use the hot gun, hot air gun. What is that? Heat gun. Don't use that on these because it will deform them. Learned the hard way. So once I had my pattern on there the way I wanted it, now you could have left it like that, right? But I decided that I did want to come back in with the watercolor again, and I am just using, depositing some of the darker color and then coming back in with the water again. And some of them are lighter and some of them are darker, just depending on how much water I ended up adding to the color that I had deposited. So again, I just was really happy with the effect for this, and yeah, pretty proud of this project, aside from that bulge on the side from using the heat gun. But isn't that neat? So now for this one, I had thought that I was going to maybe try and use this pen to emphasize these little rectangles on here, and then I decided that I was too afraid to mess it all up because I really did like the way that it looked already, so I just kind of rubbed it off. And here's a side-by-side comparison. I really am happy with the way mine turned out. DIY number 5. So $99 that Birch Lane wants for these books. What? I rated my bookcase. You could also go to the Dollar Tree and find books that have bindings of a similar shade of color. So in my own house, I could have done this in ivory. I could have done it in black. I could have done it in brown. I love books. I'm an avid book reader, so I had a lot to look at, but I am convinced that you could easily do this at the Dollar Tree and just find the books that are in the shade or the color family that you would like to have represented on your shelf for your decor, right? So I just took all of the book jackets off of them and got them all lined up. I did find that some of them actually weren't blue, they were black, and I did leave some of the dark ones in. There's one that was like way black, and I was like, I don't think I want it in there. So I pulled that one out, and now I am taking my jute cord and I'm going to flip the books up so that they're standing upright, and then I kind of mix them differently because I wanted to see how it looked, and so I did it in the way that was pleasing to my eye. And I'm now wrapping my jute cord around the books. I wrapped it twice, and then I got ready to pull it tight and to tie it off, and then I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, you know what, I want to wrap it one more time. So I popped them back up again, wrapped the cord around. You guys, how can I even call this a DIY? This is so easy, but it's so stunning, right? So trimmed my jute cord, tied a little knot, and then tied off my bow, and that's it, you guys. That's it. $12, $10 at the dollar store, or free at home. And here we go for the final reveal.
Okay, everybody, that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Just a reminder that I post every Friday with a brand new video, so I hope that you'll join me next time. Thank you for visiting with me today, and until the next time, be well, be kind, and make it a great day. Thank you so much for watching. Take good care. Bye.